All right, guys, welcome to this evening's Windsor Re-Up. This is episode, I think, number 18, Jeremy. So we've been doing this
Wow.
quite a while. So for those of you who might not know, this is the All Things I Windsor Re-Up. And what we do is we talk about real estate and everything in between related to the kind of the Windsor Essex County area. And we have our expert, Windsor investor focused realtor
Expert.
himself.
Oh,
I,
that's
I
too
would say you
kind.
are. You've almost been doing it a decade. But Jeremy
I just
McGraw is
try to do
joining
what
me
I
here
do.
tonight.
Likewise,
Yeah.
Tom, thanks for having me on again. And I
Of
love
course, this is
co-hosting
this is a
this.
duo. This isn't me having you on. This is a tag team effort here. Um, but yeah, Jeremy, how you been? What's new with you? Because we met again last month because we meet every month for the Rins Re at the first Thursday of every month. So what's new in the world of Jeremy before you kind of dive into the Windsor details and all that stuff?
A couple big events happened so far. Basically, just before, while I was actually talking to you, I submitted an offer on a property in the Ford City area. Another one.
Mr. Ford
Um,
City coming
as
up.
as an investor, I will always tell people right off the bat, it's a little tidbit for you got to play defensive when you're in an area that you're trying to build up. So, for example,
Sure.
Ford City, the Drouillard area, I have one property that I just finished renovations on. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then obviously I have the property next door that I'm in contract with. But there was a few other properties that recently came up. And then when they come up at a price that makes sense,
Yeah, discounted
you have
rates.
to play you have to play defensive. Whether or not you get it's going to be a completely other story, but you want to always toss in an offer and hopefully you get it because the reason being is that you want to be able to control the block. And if you can control kind of what's going on in the neighborhood, the more you have access to, it works better. And obviously, when they're priced, reasonably well, then you're able to, you don't feel as bad throwing in an offer. I
Hmm.
mean, there's a few other properties that were, they're priced wrong and they're sitting right. So
Yeah, you stay patient for
eventually,
those.
if they come into a price that makes sense for me, I'll purchase them, but you always want to play defensive in the area. For example, you don't want to have too many properties in different areas where your property manager, your contractors have to run around, even yourself. If you're just starting off, you don't want to have properties where you got to completely run in different areas. So
Across
by
the
having
city,
them in one
basically.
centralized area, you control the rents, you control the vibe, you control the neighborhood, right?
Agreed. And I like what you said too. If you can kind of control the block, I think people
Yeah.
don't realize this, but you're talking more in terms of, hey, you can set your own comps. You can manage it much better, of course, like you were saying, but you can set your own comps. So if you know, hey, I just did this building or this is, let's say, duplex down the street. I know since it's only a block away, I can baseline right off of that one, and that's going to be my probable around for ARVs. So that's perfect, especially with Ford City
So,
coming up. It's nice to be on the ground floor as well because the place
mhm.
eventually. I'm not sure it's going to be 5 years, but eventually it will appreciate in value. So if people don't know Windsor, check out this Ford City area. We have a new an up and coming kind of party, block party, if you want to call it, called Dropped on Drouillard, and that happens every year now. That's
We
going to be a
went
fun time.
there. I didn't even know I was going to run into. We just happened to run into each other, and what a blast! I mean, there was a Maiden Lane pop up they did there. There was an art collective. They had like skateboarders. They had a DJ at one corner, live bands on
Hmm.
another side of the area. Craft Heads was there, so you're
Lots
gonna
of
start
vendors and
seeing a
stuff
lot of
too.
these. And funny enough, a lot of downtown vendors that have slowly made their way over to Ford City. So you may even see some favorites come over to the area soon. I'm not saying I know anything, but I just once again just leased out my property. So my tenant has now revealed I'm able to talk about I just rented out 1063 Drouillard to two tenants. So I have a Drouillard people at the back that they actually are entrepreneurs on in the area.
Hmm.
So they rented out the residential property. And then on the front commercial side, I rented it out to Nuts for Dates, which is a great company
Congrats.
that does yeah, they do a bunch of dates and they also do the cheesecakes for I think some
Nice
restaurants there. Like
desserts. Yeah, very
yeah,
nice
for
desserts.
I had it dinner today for my birthday on at Nico's. It was
Oh yeah,
tremendous. So
that's an interesting
that
feeling. You're kind of comes full circle that way.
it does, right? I mean, I already had it a few times prior, but wow,
Yeah.
it's really good when you get a tenant that is like really Windsor based, like especially the food industry too, and the fact that Ford City is really starting to push the food city,
Hmm.
the food area. So hopefully we'll see some other stuff come into play. Whereas I think there were 7 offers on the one property that I wrote on tonight. We won't get too far into that. Well, maybe we'll touch base a little bit more because I really want to talk about 1063 Drouillard and the numbers because now we have the numbers. I did the refinance, and we'll have maybe next week or so
Yeah.
a little bit more information, a standalone, so that we can keep this one a little bit shorter. But other
I
than that,
That'd
so I
be a
got
great
1063
exercise. I'll just interject really quick. That'll be a great exercise because what we'll do is we'll actually put the numbers on screen, and then Jeremy
with a
will kind of
spreadsheet.
explain his thought process, why he chose maybe certain renovation levels, even rough timelines. We could even talk high level, but you'll actually see the numbers on the
Terrible rough
screen.
timelines.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey, that happens. But
There's a lot
I'll
of
be the
pros and
guy on
cons.
your
I
sounding
mean,
board asking you questions,
this
and
is
then
a
hopefully it's
great
educational for people
project to
watching.
do because I kind of got cocky because when you're wrapping these things up to when you do these so much, I got a little cocky on the sense of thinking that I was going to get them done a lot quicker, but I also was going to try to build my Airbnb portfolio, which I didn't kind of diverted overwards outside that area. So I
Hmm.
went with a long-term tenant, still got great rents. So I went with more Airbnb quality, which means higher end. And I mean, I made the property something that I'm going to hold for a while. So you got to also take into account the type of property you're buying and how long you think you're going to hold. And that's the kind of quality you want to work with. So we'll talk about that on another episode. Besides that, what else do I have going on there? Oh, a life event, but we'll talk about that another day. That's nothing we don't want to talk about too much right now, but there's a few things going on in my life, and we'll be more open in the next maybe couple of weeks about that
Oh,
and
you're
stuff like
dropping
that.
little
But
tidbits. I guess people have to tune in next time. Oh,
yeah, absolutely. Wonder what it'll be.
right
So how
on.
about you, Tom? How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. We're on the hunt now for more flips here in Windsor. Just kind of
Mm-hmm.
trolling
Oh,
through the
Windsor, oh,
MLS.
good.
Yeah, yeah. Because don't get me wrong, we were doing stuff in Detroit, right? But this is a Windsor show, and I live in Windsor, and Windsor's my backyard, and I've been doing deals here for a while. So I need
Yep.
to keep digging deep roots here and continuing to do deals here because I love my city, and I know so do you. So
I
uh,
think there's a lot of opportunity. If you look deep enough, you will find some opportunities for sure.
just gotta be patient. So that's my one lesson I'm trying to adhere to because previously what we've talked about before, just need to be intentional about the deals I do because in the past I've done poor deals, right? So you have to be careful what deal you want to hop into. So that's what I'm working on right now.
And it's just learning how to be as aggressive as possible, but staying to your numbers, staying to your wherever you're. And you got to take emotion out of the game too. Like for example, I was telling my assistant today because he's learning how to become more of a realtor,
Hmm.
and he was like, "Well, what does this mean for you?" Because he's like, "We broke all the numbers down. I put in an offer based off of what my systems and what my numbers would be, and obviously ChatGPT. I use that quite a
You
bit,
love that
but
chat
mine's
GPT.
yeah, well, mine's so
Yeah.
set up to understand logic, right? And sometimes you need to have logic because I was going to write a number that pretty much made sense to me, right? But ChatGPT is like, no, you can't write that because you're going with emotion, right?
Mm,
And I understand that you have a property in the area, you have other properties, and this adds, but it's not a necessity, which is
right.
true. And there is problems with the property that I found, right. There's some issues. I think there's a squatter in there,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah. So you're not getting the property vacant, which you have to factor in that they may or may not work with cash for keys. And the fact of it is that what's the condition of the unit? No one got to see the condition of that unit either, right? Only the
Hmm.
main floor unit was commercial. So a lot of factors went into that. And you just can't have emotion where I would have probably spent, 10, 20, 30, $40,000 more than what ChatGPT was recommending. I said, okay, I'm going to split the difference because that way I might keep 20 grand more than I wanted to in the deal, but I own a property that adds to my portfolio versus spending a lot more and having more money tied up in the deal. Because what people don't realize is that in order to grow and expand, unless you have a lot of, like pretty much an unlimited supply of money or your money's always coming back to you,
Hmm.
you can't expand as quickly as you want. Because what's going to happen if you keep buying properties and you're putting 20 to 25% down, because 25% for the commercial properties, 50, 60, 70 grand in the property adds up.
Oh,
And
heck yeah.
and
Pretty quick.
even if you have 200, say $200,000, that's like three properties, then you're out of the game. You have no money left. So
Hmm.
what do, right? You need to make sure that you have your money working for you. So sometimes even though the property might make sense in the sense of like long-term wise, you're like, oh, well, I would have bought that deal all day long. If I buy it, renovate it, and then refinance it out and I don't get my money back that I need to get out, then
Yeah, you're
who
stuck.
knows how long I'm waiting to get my money back?
Yeah.
Like how fast I can redo that with another job or another flip.
Yeah. You want to make that money work for you. You need to keep the velocity
Yes.
money flowing and going and going and going. Otherwise, yeah, it's not that
Mhm.
you necessarily lose your money because you know what's in the building. It's just now you're stuck in either you have to be patient to get it out, or you have to be creative and make more money, or you have to partner with someone
Yep.
who has money. And I know you specifically, you prefer to do it most deals yourself and use your own
Pretty
funds.
much
So
everything. Yeah.
that
So
means
I
it's even
mean,
more
if I
crucial for you to actually do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a different game. I know some people that love to work with other people and all the power to them, but or you have a power team set up where it's just once again, it's some people don't get along with other people, or I prefer, like for example, I prefer to have my relationship based off of like friendship either a realtor client relationship or as a real or as basically a friend to friend relationship, right? The
Of course.
minute
Yeah.
you start getting to bed and people start don't pull, if, for example, if I don't pull my weight, I don't want you mad at me, and vice versa. Like, but then again, I've had a few people go, "Well, I'll be the active partner." It's like, well, my whole spiel is me being active, right? So it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
it doesn't really make sense, right? I mean,
Sure.
one of my best friends is a great active business partner, right?
It
And
sure is.
I probably could make a lot of money with him, but I just can't sit around and, not do anything and
Hmm.
contribute,
You
right?
want to get your hands dirty
So,
too. I hear you.
yeah, so it's just the name of the game. So,
Yeah.
what do we have on the schedule for today,
Well,
Tom?
we got some two Windsor articles specifically, but before that, I just want to recap really quick, me and you, about our latest meetup that we had. So this was
Mm,
actually last Thursday, and what happened, guys, is we had an All Things REI property tour and meetup. And so we got to tour Ray Blanchard's place, and it was a place on Pellisher Street, and it was actually an office to residential conversion project. So what do you
yeah.
think about that one, Jeremy? Because that was pretty neat, really unique. Like you don't see that too often.
Yeah, honestly, I remember when that property sold, I looked at it, I was like, I don't understand the play here because it was, to my knowledge, kind of like a commercial, similar to my Drewlar property, where it's a commercial building with sort of a residential place, like
Yeah,
two
tucked on the
units.
back almost. Yeah.
But this is why we do this because we got to see someone who thinks outside the box, and converted that basically, I would say two units into a small commercial unit and
Hmm.
then four residential units. And he
Sweet.
did it with a low amount of renovation cost because a lot of the units were pretty easy to work with, which is really, really
Yeah, he was
great.
very
But he
strategic
was
about
able
his
to,
renovations. Very
yeah, strategic in
strategic, kind of
adding
using what was already
windows,
existing and stuff.
yeah. So honestly, and the fact of it is that I don't think downtown gets enough praise, or we all kind of like we all shit on downtown. It's unfortunate,
Yeah,
but we do.
kind of rightfully
So
so at this current point in time.
yeah, and I mean, it comes down to the fact that we don't really have anyone that's really vocal that we really know besides Ray and a few other people. So it was honestly amazing to have Ray come out, show us one of his properties, which was also two doors down from the Bitcoin building,
Right.
which was also another commercial to residential play, and is probably one of the first really outside the box developments we've seen in Windsor. That's just not a normal plug and play
Hmm.
built, from the scratch up, right? I mean, obviously there was the Hive, which was the old Don Cherries, and that was a conversion, I think, from a two-story to a five-story, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they added quite a few
Um,
floors.
yeah, so there's a few people because I think that's a really interesting building, and those developers are very, very bullish on the downtown core. So to get Ray's, who's tapped into the downtown market, who only invests
That's
in
his
the
sole
downtown
focus.
core.
You're right. That's a good
Yeah.
thing to point out, actually. He's really
It
diving
was
deep in a specific niche right there.
Yeah, so I mean that's something we have to look at too and go, wow. And I think it opened my eyes. I hope Did
Of
it open
course.
yours?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really did.
And I know a few people messaged me afterwards and was like, it was really, really great to see because whether or not they wanted to invest in downtown, that's a whole other subject for yourself and your risk tolerance. But the fact of it is that you could find this building in other areas like East Windsor, South Windsor, Walkerville, right? And why can't you do that elsewhere if you're interested in doing stuff like that? So there's definitely now a market for that. So you definitely, and he mentioned that he already had some of them pre-rented out at an amazing rents, which
Yeah,
is really, really
huge
good to
rents.
see.
And they're already
And
pre-furnished too. That's one of his also calling cards. Always furnish rentals, even though it's a midterm or a long term. He always furnishes them to the nines.
another thing that caught my eye was when he mentioned that he buys everything basically as is and makes sure he gets all the chattels and the, like the furniture and stuff, and then he'll sell them on Facebook
Yeah,
Marketplace.
yeah. He makes a couple
And
extra
I thought that
bucks
was
that
kind
way.
of funny. And honestly,
Takes a
well,
lot of
think
work
about
to do
this.
that
I pay like I think the last one, I think I paid like $5,000 to have my guy go in at Drouillard and like remove everything.
just to
But
pitch it.
here's the thing. I mean, if you can make, if you can spend probably, and I was actually talking to my contractor this morning because he came by to do a few more things for me. He's like, yeah, man, I took like a bunch of the stuff that you had and I actually moved it to some other properties that they're not going to be as nice, but I took some of the material there. I was able to get some drills and stuff that you had, sell on Facebook Marketplace, make a few $100. I'm like, wow, that's interesting, right? So as a new investor who maybe needs a little bit extra cash, you might be able to get a few $100 off some stuff, if not more.
Yeah, that's a smart play actually. That's really smart. Because I know a lot of times too, people are strapped for cash in these projects, and that's a good way to kind of float even maybe a handful of the renovations. Just takes a bit more
Hmm.
sweat equity, right? Just a little bit more
Well,
effort, but that's something
it all
sometimes people
depends on
aren't
you. Yeah,
worth doing. Yeah.
it's
So
absolutely.
yeah,
I was like, man, if I commit maybe an hour or two into my next project and make a few $100, like it's definitely worth my time.
yeah, it's good ROI. But overall, yeah, that meetup was fantastic. It was a really fun time. We had a great turnout too, and then afterwards went to Bull and Barrel for a while, classic, because it's right down the road.
Oh,
And
and yeah, Thursday nights, all you can eat wings. Wow. Like
no,
great
it's not
deal.
bad. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So
Plug in all the locals. But yeah, we
I've
didn't get to ride it to the bowl. That's a sad part. They got rid of that, but
they
it is
got
what
rid
it
of
is.
that. Yeah. They
Yeah,
make that disco place, which is kind of cool. But it's
yeah.
good to see a business thriving. That it was pretty busy there as well. Actually this morning I had breakfast or brunch, I guess you would say, at first time I went there, a dog's breakfast.
That's a good spot.
Really,
I
really
like their
good.
French
Yeah.
toast. It's crispy.
Yeah, I had their eggs Benedict. It's world famous supposedly.
Yeah,
So
and
it
that's on
was
the same street as all these places that we were touring today or
yeah.
last Thursday with Ray
Mm.
on Belisha Street. But speaking of
So
which, actually, we should talk about how that farmers market was
first
rated the
article,
number one in I believe Ontario. So let's check this out. So just recently, can you see that,
have you
Jeremy?
been, Tom?
To the farmers market, I actually once a
Don't
while
lie. You can
back.
say yeah.
No,
Okay.
sorry, no, I take that back. It was a farmers market that was on Olette, so I've never actually woken up early enough. I'll admit to go to this farmers market. But my sister, she's there probably every weekend when it's up and running because she loves all her fresh fruits and vegetables. So I get to benefit from it, even though
I know
I don't go.
people that look forward to this, and I will be the first person to say I've honestly like I've never been to one. The reason being, as you mentioned, it is a morning event on the weekend, right?
Real early, yeah.
Ariel, I think on a Saturday. And if you
Maybe
guys
one
have
day
me
as
on
we
Instagram,
mature, Jeremy.
I'm usually on Friday nights, so I definitely didn't make it over there. But maybe
Yeah.
this year I
Yeah, I think
have
I think we should. I think we should now that kind of Pillisher's getting back on the map too. So
honestly, no, I've only heard good things, and I've only heard good things for a few years now. It's something that I used to live like 2 minutes away, and it's just like once again, it's a change of lifestyle.
mhm,
Um, Saturdays are now open, and I'll be up 8 o'clock in the morning, which is good for the foreseeable future. So I will be up every morning.
I love it.
But I'm excited to really actually, and that's starting at the end of this month, or is
I
it next month?
Let me check.
Let's Google this.
I'm
Give me a
not
second.
sure when it starts, but I
Farmers
believe it
Market.
starts in. It would make sense to
Where's Ray
start in
when you need
April.
him? Downtown Windsor Farmers Market, right here.
Okay, it will open up this for 16th
March
season,
29th.
March 29th. Yeah, and I'll go all the way to the end of October. So that's huge. But honestly, this is the exact type of stuff that we need for Windsor's downtown core. That'll actually attract people in foot traffic, and also businesses, and give them a little life, right? Because people who go to this farmers market will stop at Dog's Breakfast. They'll maybe they'll see Maiden Lane and say, okay, we need to stop there some other evening, right? So they're going to check
Hmm.
out this place and put a lot of money into the downtown, and that's exactly what we want to see. So happy to have that coming back this year for sure.
Yeah, the BIA has done a good job, and like I said, with the BIA, a lot of those guys have raised on the BIA there.
Mm-hmm.
I think Gary McLeod, is it Gary? Um, or Chris? There's a few guys there. They're on the board there,
I think even the
and
city councilor, right? He's also on the board.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I think every BIA has to have a counselor, if I'm not mistaken. They
Oh,
have the
okay. Sorry.
counselor of their
My
area,
interesting. Okay.
but
Good to
that's
know.
good. I mean, honestly, the downtown BIA, they've done a tremendous job with this. That has taken off. Great vendors, support local, especially right now with the tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we don't like to get too political on these chats because we cater to everyone. We always like to cater to both, to every person regarding of anything.
Yeah.
And we always say, look, right now there's some stuff going on, and I think people in Windsor could use your support, especially these vendors right now, as much as possible. And it's a good way to support, come out and support local.
Absolutely. Yeah, we look forward to this one. But speaking of tariffs, that is something that we want to just touch on really briefly. Not be all
You
doom and
pull
gloom.
this, can you actually pull that article or the farmers market up really quickly? Because I didn't see it go on the.
Oh, sorry, I didn't share it to your screen. I shared it to the live.
Okay.
Um, but if I share it right now, it might screw up the.
No, don't then don't.
Yeah, I
It's
need
all
to
good.
I need
I
to
didn't I
reshare it
didn't
for
see it
next
come
time.
up. So
No, 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 my bad. Next time we'll
so
sort that out.
next article, can you bring? Are you able to bring it up if I can see it? Or something?
Okay, yeah. Let me just share it. We'll break the third wall here for a second.
No, for the next article.
Yeah, there you go. How's that? There you go. You see that
Ooh,
now?
Windsor on. Ooh, the third wall here. Windsor on pins and needles as Trump tariffs take effect.
Mm-hmm.
So this quick question. I think he paused the automotive one.
Yeah, he paused that for 1 month. So I was actually at ZF Windsor, which is on Hawthorne Drive, just off Lozon there today,
Okay.
for just visiting one of the integrators who basically supply the Windsor assembly plant for Chrysler. And so there
Okay.
were rumors and murmurs, kind of them saying, "Oh man, like this is kind of getting testy," but they weren't too concerned because they have to keep the plant running, right? And
Mhm.
I think overall, to at least the automotive industry's credit, they've been really lobbying hard. So like we're talking GM, Ford, Chrysler, and all those the big OEMs, the big three, have been actually
Yeah.
going to Washington to say, hey, you realize if you put tariffs, you're hurting like big American industry right here. So I think this is one of the few things that might not be tariffed, or at least aren't on the highest priority hit list. So
It was really weird that he put it on for one day. I don't get the strategy.
yeah, he's kind of
I mean,
coming and
is
going.
it a bluff tactic? I don't know. Is he playing around with the stock? When I was eating breakfast, I think there was two lawyers behind me, and they were just talking about, you know, how potentially great of a president if he could have just, stayed on course. But at the same time, too, we have to remember this guy's a kind of nationalist in the sense of doing what he feels is best for America. And he's got other people behind him, like Jamie Dimon. He's got a
Hmm.
lot of people in the industry. But the issue comes down, and the way I look at it is like, is he just trying to kill the market so that he can kind of put in his reserve? Especially, I mean, he killed Bitcoin for a bit and then announced a reserve. So I don't know if the government's trying to buy stuff or trying to
Uh,
maneuver the markets
Cause
around.
yeah,
Like
I did
are they
hear
manipulating the market? I don't know enough about that. I'm not I have stocks, but like I'm not a stock market um huge
just
stock
buy the
market
dip,
guy.
baby, buy the
I
dip.
just keep that's all I know what to do. Put
Or
my
maybe we
s-
should just stick
put
with real estate, to be honest.
put my TFSA in every year so I get tax free and then pray it goes up.
Well, that's the best way. Just like set it and forget it. But I'll say this too about the tariffs. I don't think that it's necessarily just to drop the market and buy things for Trump. I think he does actually have
Hmm.
genuine concerns. Because he's telegraphing it to everyone saying, hey, Mexico's having issues with the border and all these drugs and cartel stuff, and he's claiming
Sure.
that Canada has issues as well. And it
I
sounds
and
like
I
he
know we
genuinely just
do.
hates Trudeau. And do we
I
blame him? Not really, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're saying that actually, to be honest with you, they're saying that if he keeps running with the tariffs, it could lead to a liberal government again, which to, once again, political parties aside. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if
No, I
that's
don't think
what we
so.
want right now.
I was under the impression he was trying to almost do this to get the liberals out and show them, hey, this is your mess because
I
this has been
think
the
it's
past decade of.
I think we're starting to people are starting to band together and then support him. I mean, he had a really good I will give him that he had a good speech
Mm, oh,
regarding
State
what
of the
he
Union.
said. Yeah. But then again, I mean, this guy's got shut down government. How is he operating? I don't know. I mean, that's another whole thing we have to talk like for
Oh
another
yeah,
topic for another
Trudeau
day.
just trying to basically stay in power.
I don't know. It's like Zelensky
Before we get too
2.0.
heated, Jeremy, I think we got to move on. What do you say?
Okay. So,
I'll show
do we
you the
have
market
another
stats here.
article here? No,
I
wait,
didn't,
we talked
unless you had
about
something specific you want to cover real
we have
quick.
we'll just chat about it. We had breaking news that in Windsor at least, I mean, what was it? Rocket Mortgage. So there's
Yo,
Rocket
yes,
Mortgages
yes,
on.
yes, yes.
Yeah, so downtown Windsor once again, Rocket Mortgages that was operating at the old, I think the Fish Building. They announced that they're basically winding down operations. What does that mean for the market? From what I've heard on Twitter or X, a few mortgage agents were mentioning that this was kind of like a pet project for them for Rocket Mortgage. They never really cared too much about it. Um, it's only I think 142 mortgage agents, and they were just mortgage agents. They'll probably just go to other firms there. I knew a few friends that worked for them, and then they were in this building, and then they kind of moved more stateside.
Hmm.
So I don't really know too much, but I mean, Rocket Mortgage, if I'm not mistaken, in their industries are one of the biggest in America.
Hmm.
This is not affected by the tariffs, to my knowledge, but I heard that they've been kind of like it was a losing project for the last few since like I think 2022.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I wonder if they just realize because there's better laws in terms of kind of it's just more capitalistic to be in America. They can make more money there just to focus and niche down in America.
Like I said, they're the biggest around. So for them, that it's kind of like a Target. When Target came over to Canada, they're like, oh, it's just a write off. A couple $1 billion tossed away. But in this case, I mean, it's just they tried it out. They came in probably when the market was at its peak, and then thinking that okay, well, we'll run with this for a bit, and then now that the market is starting to get a little bit lower down, they were probably operating more as like a startup,
Mm-hmm.
and now that the market is kind of like
Stagnant.
stabilized in a sense, they're like, okay, well, this is not feasible for us to maintain. So that's my thought
Yeah.
process on it. If you know more information, please let us know because this is definitely interesting. But some people have thought that they were a mortgage, like a company, a mortgage company. No, they're just mortgage brokerage. Like if you were to go to like you know, a kind of like a bank in sense, like you'd talk to a mortgage, I guess not a mortgage broker, but it'd be kind of like your Dominion lending, like if a typical mortgage broker
Yeah. Some uh,
like Lyndon from
like
last
Lyndon
article.
Craner. Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah. Or Matt Snyder. Like those guys,
Yes.
all these people, they're great brokers, and you should hit them up in case you ever need basically anything, even refinancing your own house. You might as well go with a broker and check it out because
Absolutely. Shop
they'll get you the
around
best
whenever you have a
rates.
chance.
Absolutely, because
And
banks,
especially for
yeah.
anyone that is on a variable mortgage, it might make sense to even like have and look into your options because rates have, started going down a bit more and there might be other options for you where the differential could be so good for you that it may make sense to break your mortgage early and hop into a new rate. So
Absolutely, yeah.
always reach out, keep your mortgage agent. They are my saving grace. Sometimes when I have questions that I cannot answer for my clients, they ask me some mortgage questions. I always refer them to my group. And as a realtor, I always maintain a group. I don't work with just one mortgage broker. You
Hmm.
want to have a bunch of people to fit your client's needs.
Absolutely, yeah. Give them selection.
Hmm.
Perfect. Well,
But we have
Jeremy,
the
how
numbers
about you
now.
talk about the numbers of Windsor and
Oh, this will be
what
a
we got
fun one
going
right here.
on?
That's absolutely okay. So what we're looking at right now, starting at 2025, for the number of listings for the month, and this is once again for February of 2025,
Hmm.
we have 975 listings for the month of February, comparing that to 913 in 2024 and 882 13 in 2023. So we're noticing that we have an increase year over year of 6.79%. Year to date, we're at 2,074, and compared to last year at 1768, and the year before at 1622. So a considerable rise of almost 300, yeah, about 300 new listings year over year, which is a 17, almost 18% increase, which is crazy to think about. And then here's where some of the numbers start getting a little skewed, not in a good way. Number of sales for the month, 362 compared to 415 and 367 in 2023. And this is kind of the time when, the market was starting to take a little bit of a kind of at the peak. So that was actually in 2022. So the market was starting to get a little bit better in 2023 there. But yeah, we're down almost 13% at 12.77. Year to date, 694 sales compared to 766, and then 681, which is a decline of 9.4%, just under 10% there.
So
And sales volume, look at this right here, just under $201 million compared to 233, and then 210, down almost 14%. And then once again, year to date, we're down 7.45%. It's crazy. The numbers are not looking good. I'm getting calls I have listings right now. Sellers are asking, even I have people that don't have their houses listed, is it a good time to sell? And the answer is it's a good time to sell if you're looking to buy. But if you're just looking to sell, and you purchase near the peak of late 2021 or early 2022, you probably are still going to be feeling pain for quite some time.
mm,
Um, let's go over the residential activity comparison. The listings at 739. So that's how many listings we've had on the market right now, and sales at 307. So this is for residential here. And the average sale price being at 559,363, and a median sale price of 525. Sorry.
sorry, no, I was just trying to adjust it a little
No,
bit better for the screen.
because I'm actually reading off this one here. So, anyways, here's the thing. I mean, almost a 10% increase in sales. That's not good because the next part of, listing of it, 10% increasing of listings, but our sales were down almost 13%. So we're getting
Mm.
more listings, but we're down in sales, which is
And what
not
do
a
you think
good
the
time.
reason behind that is? Because normally, as we're starting to ramp up towards spring, it starts to get better, right? The market starts to get hotter. But why do you think that is?
People are still starting to see people have been bleeding for a bit. Obviously, anyone that bought in late 2021, early 2022, a lot of investors were on variable mortgages,
Mm-hmm.
and they're bleeding. Unfortunately, it's an unfortunate situation. We have condominium development that's sitting now with lots of new builds coming on the market. We've been bringing like 2,000 new builds a year pretty much, right? So we have a ton more supply on the market. So there's a lot more competition, and obviously there's a lot of people on the sideline wondering what's going on. The stock market crashed, crypto crashed, which people are wondering, okay, well, usually the real estate market's one to kind of follow suit a few months later.
Mm-hmm.
Um, People will start taking their profits or taking their money out, and usually when stuff like that starts happening, when people start potentially even losing their jobs, going into layoffs start happening, which I've heard a few rumors or a few situations that have happened as
A
well.
little bit in light of
Um,
the tariffs and just the economy
yeah,
in general.
yes, absolutely. So, what's my thought process? I would say my thought process right now is buckle up. You're gonna hear every realtor giving you what they want to hear. Remember, these people, including myself, work on commission. So take it with a grain of salt. Um, People will say it's a great time to buy, a great time to sell. I mean, it could be a great time to buy, but I mean, I think that there's still a world of pain still to happen. I see mortgage rates going down, obviously, to reflect the tariffs. But what happens if the tariffs do stay? Well, it's going to hurt the automotive industry. The automotive industry is the number one
A lot of
employer
jobs
in
here, a lot of
Windsor.
tool and die as well.
Yeah,
Everything around here. Yep.
yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, remember that's the main subject jobs. Obviously, we don't have GM anymore, but we still have Fords and Chryslers. But we also have Fords, Chryslers, GM, Honda. Toyota. We have a lot of these companies, feeder plants. These are companies in Windsor that have plants here that distribute parts
Across the border.
and other services across both Ontario and obviously Michigan and Ohio, right? So um, that has to be taken into account. And our wages have been going up. I've talked to a few friends that work in the automotive industry, and their wages have been good. I mean, they have a great, obviously, they're union based, right, for the most part. Um, right now, with our dollar being our dollar hurting, it obviously helps keep their jobs in line. But the tariffs kind of bring it back to almost on par, where I mean, companies may start, and these are always a few years out, considering they bring jobs, especially if Trump's going to start offering incentives to bring these jobs from Canada to America. Um, you could start seeing that, which would then obviously hurt us even more. I don't want to
Hmm.
sound bearish. I hate sounding bearish
You're
because
being, I
obviously
would
I
say
love
you're being
Windsor.
cautious. Yeah.
Well, I would say everything we do right now as an investor would be more of a defensive play. I'm taking only defensive plays right now. I'm not trying to be super aggressive. I buy aggressively, but I buy based off of safe numbers,
Mm.
right? I have a lot of people that would love to flip houses and they're saying, oh, well, let's just buy something for the sake of buying something. Well, you can't do that. You can't just buy a flip and then think the market's going to be good. Like some of the properties that are in grandma and grandpa condition are not going for much less than a fully flipped property. So keep that in mind that um, you have to look at what the ARV will be on the property and
And how
what
long
you're
it's going to
buying it
stay on
for.
the market too. Hey,
Yeah.
maybe it's going to stay on the market another extra 2 months than you can anticipate. So factor that into your
So
overall holding costs.
here's my thought process. Anything under 300-400 grand, it's moving pretty well. I think it's great. I think that's a great buying spot for most people. I think I'm seeing duplexes. To be honest with you, I was looking at a property on the phone with one of my clients today. There's a duplex that's been on the market for basically since like November. They've
Oh, wow.
relisted it. They've moved price up, down, left, right, and it still can't sell. It's the cheapest duplex on the market. I think at like $309,000.
Uh,
I don't know if they're predicting or asking for more money. I did not reach out to the listing agent on that. However, if you start going through most of the multifamilies, you're going to notice a trend that most of these properties have been on the market for over 1 month or
mm,
even more than that, or they've been listed a multitude of different times. And that's a great way. So, I mean, if you're a buyer and you want to be aggressive and throw lowball offers out, and all the power to you because someone might eventually just flinch and say, hey, I'm willing to sign this right now and get me out of the market, right? I'd rather take a 20, 30K loss than continuously sit on this property every month.
mm,
So, um, but then again, too, we have a lot of properties that are on the market that people bought at the peak and they don't want to lose any money. I have
right. They're
clientele that I
fishing.
refuse to list their listings because they bought at the peak and they're like, hey, I bought this property for 500 grand. You're telling me it's worth 400 right now because the market dipped, but I don't want to lose a dollar. I don't want to lose 100 grand. So I want you to sell it for me for 550. It's like, well,
Yeah,
it's worth
you're wasting your
400.
time at that point. Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
So
you have to be realistic with
I'm
them.
that's the issue, right? And I've gotten calls from other realtors too. I mean, anyone that's really bought in the last in 20 late 2021, early 2022, these are listings that are on the market and unfortunately they're sitting. So um the issue comes down to it creates more opportunity for buyers. Is there multiple offers? The answer is yes. I was just on seven offers today on a project. So it all comes down to what you're looking for, but is there opportunities and deals? There will be because a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines. And if you're a good investor or you're a person that likes to talk, like myself and even yourself, Tom, who's quietly listening to what I'm saying here, network out and you can eventually find. Like to give you an idea, I didn't even mention it, but I have a potential off market in Fort City that I'm working on right now, and I'm hopefully buying this property for like $160,000.
That's the power of having connections too, because they can bring you leads, bring you deals, or maybe help you with funding. You never know who might have
And
something
you
for
always
you.
and there's finder and something called a finder's fee, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you help them out, right? So,
Absolutely.
just make sure you take care of the people around you, and it will come back to you. I was talking to Graham today, and he mentioned he was viewing some off-market deals, and some potentially interesting ones, which is
Mm.
cool. And it's all about who you know and talk to everyone.
Yeah, it's the law
So,
of reciprocity. You give and then you get. So Makes sense. Jeremy, I
I think,
appreciate your
yeah.
time tonight. I think we'll keep it tight. What do you have to say? Anything else? Any
No, I would
parting
say
words for this evening?
definitely stay in touch with us. Find us on our social medias, the All Things REI Facebook group, Instagram, YouTube. We're on LinkedIn now.
Mhm.
Yeah, stay in touch because I want to talk about my Drouillard property. As you know, I like to talk. I talk a lot. So I think we're going to break that one down. It might be next week. It might be the week after. We have a bunch of things rolling in right now
Mhm.
and a couple more guests as well. And we have an event that we're teaming up with Ray as well. Do you want
Yep.
to talk about that one?
Yeah. Really quickly, March 14th. So I'm going to be posting it. Actually, I need to post it on our Facebook group here in the All Things REI Facebook group. And what we're doing is we're collaborating with Ray Blanchard, and there's an event being put on March 14th, which is a Friday, and I believe it's don't quote me on this, around 5:30. And what's going to happen is there's going to be food and a speaker. And so this speaker is actually a well-known accountant, CPA, and he's done a lot of funding for Ray personally and for other Wealth Genius members. And he's going to be speaking to everyone and educating them on ways to finance your properties. And afterwards, they're actually going to be going down and watching the basketball game at the WFCU Center. But
Yep.
during that time, it's going to be courtside, lovely seats, and they'll be
Oh
right
yeah.
next to the bar. So it's actually going to be a great chance to mingle with the high top tables. I doubt really there's going to be much watching of the game. It's just going to be more talking with investors and just having a good old time. But
I think we
yeah,
get a
look forward
buffet
to
with
that.
that too. I like food. So I
Yeah,
think there's
yeah.
a
The
buffet
food at the very
included.
start, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
So
And I believe tickets for a courtside ticket plus a buffet and a speaker is around $50. Not a
yeah,
bad deal.
the tickets are not bad. So get them while they're hot. I don't think it's unlimited capacity. I think there's a set amount. So
Of
we're
course.
gonna
Yeah, it
definitely
makes
want
I
to.
mean, there's only so many courtside tickets, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's true. So join us that evening, and I'll be there. Jeremy's going to be there, I believe, and then I know a bunch of other investors will be too. So come out to that one. And also, one other thing, we have a recap video coming up soon that we'll put on our YouTube channel of our latest property tour and meetup. So look forward to that as well. We're just having Chris finish the edits from All In Content, and then we'll be posting that up soon as we have that in our hands.
Right.
Yep. But Jeremy, yeah, thanks, man, for this evening. I appreciate you giving your insights as always.
Always a
I,
pleasure,
I
Tom.
love
It's
it.
always good to chat with you. And we told ourselves we'd only be 30 minutes this one. We wanted to do a quick
We
one,
need
and
to get
sure
better
enough,
at
it's an
this. We
hour.
need to get better at this. But
So
yeah, it's not that bad. We'll call it 50 minutes this time. And thanks for everyone watching this evening too, and
absolutely.
who might watch this in the future. Reach out to us if you have any questions about real estate, especially in the Windsor area. We love to talk about real estate, and we got your back. So, anyways, take care,
Until
everyone.
next